Hey everybody, we're about to go live on 90.1 FM. We got a great show lined up for you today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Go ahead and our first time viewers, go ahead and hit the like button. Our returning viewers, hit the heart button. Post in the comment section where you're tuning in from. We broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all these other places out there. Calling number 601-948-5950. We got a great show, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. We'll be coming on in just a second.
This is District 66 on 90.1 FM, the voice of the community, WMPR.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Revive Mississippi. I'm your host, DeKeither Stamps. We got a great show lined up for you today, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're going to be talking to a good friend of ours, U.S. Congress candidate Shuwaski Young. He's going to be coming in just a few minutes. But as we begin every show, we always say, remember those folks who are going through bereavement. Yeah, every week is somebody. But you got to be a friend so you can have a friend when your time comes. Because handy one thing I know, man, your time going to come around when you're going to need a friend, a partner, or somebody. Just put your hand on the shoulder. You ain't got to go talk to them and talk all day long. Sometimes folks just want you to shut up, sit still, and be listening. And just sit down with them. Spend some time with them. I'm a firm believer that when we get back to being good friends, we can endure and progress in this thing called life a whole lot better. So be a friend. So you'll have a friend when your time comes. Underwriters for today's show, Mr. Micheal Jordan, the Micheal Jordan Transportation Service, the baddest brother behind the steering wheel out there, Mr. Micheal Jordan, the Micheal Jordan Transportation Service. Does a great job. You can go to www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs. That brother's always on the job, and he specializes in dealing with folks that are, especially our senior citizens, folks who need some help. Go on and give him a call at Micheal Jordan. Go to the website at www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs. And go on over to SuperBurgers. Go on, how they feel now. Go tell them, say, hey, Revive Mississippi, DeKeither Stamp sent you over there. Go on and get you a whole cow between two pieces of bread that's juicy and tasty to the last drop. Right over there on Dalton Street where it's always been. Going over to Stamps SuperBurgers and enjoy a good meal. Now, I like the turkey burgers. And even the vegan piece is good, but those lemon pepper fries are on fire all the time. I love them to the last drop. So go and get you one. Check it out. And we also appreciate the Evans family for allowing us to continue to come on the show. We're going to dive right into it. We're going to bring up U.S. Congressional candidate Shuwaski Young. He's a good young man. He's been working hard. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, Representative Stamps. How are you today?
Brother, if I was any better, I'd be you.
That's a good one. I love it. I love to hear it. Now, tell me something.
I'd be you.
Tell me something. I was just hearing this about, Stamps Burger. I graduated at the Jackson State University, and would always go grab a burger. Is that your family?
That's a cousin of mine.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you what, man, we might need to throw some campaign events over there to give back to the community.
Hey, we ready. All day. So for those who don't know, Mr. Young, give a little introduction of yourself, your background for those who may not know who you are.
Sure. So I was born and raised and educated right here in Mississippi's 3rd Congressional District up in Winston and Neshoba County, and graduated from Eastern Community College, also Jackson State University. I was a political science major there. I spent the early part of my career working for the Mississippi Secretary of State, Dr. Eric Clark, at that particular time. I also spent some time working for now Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hoseman when he was Secretary of State. For a few months as well before going into electoral politics. Worked for the Obama campaign, both in Alabama and also Las Vegas, Nevada in 2012. Moved on and started working at Union Presbyterian Seminary, overseeing a $75 million capital campaign there in higher education. And I always stayed committed to my Mississippi roots. So I would always come back and see family and talk about, the future of the state with local business owners and things of that nature. And I kept going forward in my career and ended up working for Secretary Hillary Clinton's campaign, both at her headquarters in New York as well as Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and spent some time, of course, in the Obama administration working at the Department of Homeland Security, overseeing the If You See Something, Say Something campaign, which is a nationwide domestic terrorism public awareness campaign as well. And look, for the last couple of years, I've been working at one of the top legal entities in the United States, the San Francisco Bar Association, before launching this congressional race last June. And for the past, I guess going on about 15 months, I've been on the ground here in Mississippi, talking to folks all throughout the 3rd Congressional District, talking about how we can bring jobs to our particular state, in particular here in central Mississippi. That's a key important component of this race. Also talking about how we're going to protect Social Security, making sure that folks have available and access to clean water, healthy food, and affordable health care, and making sure that, we are looking out for our small business owners by making sure that we're expanding tax breaks for small businesses. So that's what our key message has been over the past about 15, 16 months. There's an array of socioeconomic.
I know a lot of these interviews, brother, you got to get a whole lot in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Let me slow down a little bit today because you at home.
I'm at home. Okay, well, good deal. Okay, well, good. Well, I got a lot to talk about.
It's not super. It's not these other places that you get that's out there that you only get 3 minutes to talk. You ain't got to just bottle it all up in the little short 3 minutes. We got an hour.
Right on.
We got 50 more minutes. So,
well, good deal.
You grew up Winston and Neshoba County, and you've traveled around the world doing a myriad of different things. You've taken what was given to you from the education system here and the university education that you received here, and been afforded a myriad of different opportunities out there.
Yeah.
And you've seen what other states have been able to do and progress to over the years, right? And now it seems to me from my private conversations and you're seeing you from the outside looking in, you want to bring some of those same progressions to Mississippi. So talk a little bit about, the congressional district. What counties does it cover? Or just kind of the boundaries of the district, so people can know exactly where, or if they're listening, if they fall into your area.
Sure. So Mississippi 3rd Congressional District is a large congressional district, number one, very dense. We're talking about in East Mississippi going down to Central and also South Mississippi as well. So the northeastern portion of the district, you're looking at Ottawa County, which is Starkville, Mississippi, and coming on down through Winston and Neshoba and Kemper County and Noxubee County and Lauderdale County. Northeast portion of Jackson is also in the 3rd District, Madison, as well as the full Rankin County, Marion County, going on down to South Mississippi and Jeff Davis, Marion, Smith, Lincoln, Clark, all those counties. So it's a vast area. We have an opportunity to win this race, but it's going to kick all those folks in those areas turning out to vote.
All right. So in Mississippi, we have 4 congressional districts. We have the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. The 2nd congressional district is a district that Congressman Thompson has for some time. So you're not running against Congressman Thompson.
Absolutely not. And in fact, I'm happy to have his support in this race.
Great. And now the 4th congressional district is not the district you're running in. So you're not running against Mayor Johnny Dupree in that area. So you're running in the 3rd congressional district, just so folks can kind of get a mental picture of where you would fall on the ballot and where you would serve once elected.
Absolutely. So Mayor Dupree, of course, is down in the 4th congressional district. He's also very supportive of the campaign, and I am also very supportive of his campaign as well. Of course, Congressman Thompson being over in the 2nd, he secured, and of course, Ms. Diane Black is up in the 1st congressional district. Now, mind you, a lot of folks aren't talking about this enough. We are hearing some folks talk about it a little bit. I know the Mississippi Federation of Democratic Women are talking about it. And that is that this is the first time in Mississippi's history that you have the opportunity to put 4 African-American Black candidates in the United States Congress, in the House of Representatives. That's never happened before. All the nominees for Mississippi's congressional season this year are Black. Myself in the 3rd District, Congressman Thompson in the 2nd, Ms. Diane Black in the 1st, and Mayor Johnny Dupree in the 4th. So this is a historic moment. And it's also something that we can be proud of as a state. and also something we can be proud of as a community as a whole. And that's why this election is also so important.
Exactly. Every election is so important, especially this one. In a time like this, we're going to start off a little big picture, and then we're going to walk back down to how that big picture affects the local area. Because America has some huge challenges ahead. And one of those challenges is, dealing with the American economy. That's going through an inflationary period right now, but things are going forward. So just take a moment to talk about what are some of the things that you feel need to be done at the congressional level just to affect the American economy.
Sure. So, of course, there are a number of things that are, causing people a lot of strife out there. One, gas prices are extremely too high. Food prices are extremely too high. The price of traveling, saving for a vacation, or even purchasing a used vehicle. We're seeing a lot of historic challenges with these prices as we're coming through. Now, the administration, Joe Biden's administration, has put forth legislation to stop some of the price gouging, stop some of the ways in which the private sector is kind of gouging these prices and whatnot. But we're seeing no Republican support or enthusiasm of appetite around those programs being actually passed into law. You also are talking about a state where people's health care is suffering at an all-time high. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic category you're talking about. Mississippi ranks pretty much last or dead last in these particular areas. So, even with the price of insulin now being capped at $35 with the new inflation debt reduction package, there's still a lot of work to do. And what we need to be able to do is make sure that the private sector here in Mississippi understands and heeds that need as well. So they can do what they can actually do to help us lower these prices as well. Government's job is to create an environment by which they can actually do these things. They can't do it on their own. That's the private sector's opportunity to take part in that. But we as leaders in government have to create an environment for business growth where you can create more jobs, keep prices down and low and things of that nature. Now, what we're seeing as far as when the gas prices, that's getting a little bit better. We've seen prices drop consistently for I think it's about 69 days. But we need to see more. Just this morning, I put about $50 in the gas tank and it filled it up. The light wasn't on just yet, but it was pretty low. So that's showing some level of encouragement right there as well. But we have to be able to keep prices down. We have to be able to make sure people have jobs. And I think that we're going in the right direction. But we got a hell of a lot of work more to do, especially with these recessionary effects taking place.
That's great for that side of the economy. What do you believe that America can do to help wages get higher? Because that's one of the biggest gaps out there.
Look, this is extremely important. This has been something that I've talked about since we launched the campaign. Look, I am a component and believer of a livable wage. I don't particularly believe in a minimum wage. That has been the problem here in the South since its inception, making the economy work and bolster off the backs of cheap labor. And now today, it's not just a racial thing. This is something that affects all of our communities, right? When I talk to janitors and groundskeepers and cafeteria workers across the state, many of them tell me stories how they make 3-figure salaries, Representative, 3 figures per month. Now that's 3 figures to take care of a family, buy clothes, plan for vacation, plan for some college if you can. But it's causing people to get second jobs, which keeps them away from their homes, affects their health long term. And I am a component and been a big believer in a national $15 wage requirement at the federal level. Now, there are states out there that pay above what the 725 level is. Mississippi is not one of them. Now, not by and large. And what we want to be able to see is that we want our wages to be at least $15 an hour nationwide. And I think that that'll give the private sector an opportunity to grow as well, because more people are going to want to work for getting paid for the dignity of their work. And that's also why I'm supported by AFL-CIO. I'm a pro-worker candidate. I believe in workers' rights. I believe not only in fair labor, I believe in fair labor practices. And I believe that folks shouldn't have to work their entire life on one job and not be able to make ends meet during that time.
Hey, I appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call in, the call-in number is 601-948-5950. That's 601-948-5950. 5950. So moving beyond the economy, how do you see America moving on the global stage? Because we see the world news and we see a lot of destabilization around the world. What do you see as some of the moves that America needs to make globally?
Well, I mean, we have to ensure that our foreign allies are known and respected and also appreciate to make sure that we have the alliances around the world to keep ourselves safe. That's our number one job as public officials, to keep the people safe. When we're talking about a national foreign policy and politics and things of that nature. One of the things also is the way in which we are exuding our leadership to the rest of the world as a whole. How people are viewing us on our morals and on our values and as a leader. Of how we can actually move forward. I think that that's very important. And when you've seen the leadership go from what it was when President Barack Obama was actually in office to what it became when Donald Trump was in office, I think that you saw a clear difference in how we were viewed as a leader on the world stage when it came to human rights, how it was when we were viewed on the world stage when it came to our economic opportunity expansion into other areas of the country. In the world. So I think that we have an opportunity to make a lot of ground up. I think what the Biden administration is doing is trying to maintain those relationships with our foreign allies as best they can. I think that they're doing a good job. It's good we haven't seen any wars, more and more wars break out other than what we're seeing in Ukraine. But of course, as a whole, we as a country must always make sure that we're keeping strong ties with our closest and forest allies for our national security around the country. My Department of Homeland Security background is one of which that has focused directly in this area of keeping the country safe. So I always look at these folks as patriots that are doing this work. They care deeply about this country. They want to keep us safe, and they want to make sure that our economic global markets are solid. So I think we're doing a good job. I think we're heading in the right direction.
All right. So dialing it back down from globally back down to statewide, what are some things that you feel your leadership will bring to the Mississippi's economy?
So, I've talked about this a lot as well, too. There are companies out there that are paying basically zero in tax for their particular contribution to this country, the Amazons, the Facebooks, the Googles, the tech world, so to speak. And one of the things that, I bring to the table is having been someone at the boardroom table with their top lawyers for their companies. I know that, their corporate value systems want to see investment into diverse communities, into underserved communities, into marginalized communities. And there's a key opportunity for us to bring those big businesses and some of their satellite hubs here to our state. They want to invest in our state. They want to make sure that they are contributing to a national movement forward to uplift marginalized communities. What we have to do is be able to create the environment and create the statewide continued national reputation where they actually want to come. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to put their company in a place where they're going to have to worry about looking over their shoulders and whether or not they're going to be racially affected by police behind them in a car or something of that nature, or whether or not they're going to get a fair shot on a home loan and things of that nature. I think that these things are important. I think they want to come to our state. I think our state reputation, which affects tourism and things of that nature as well, too, is extremely important. And also will create an opportunity for us to build a educational pipeline with those companies, with our colleges right here in Mississippi, not just Tougaloo and Jackson State, but also Millsaps and Belhaven and Mississippi State and Ole Miss as well, because it is about a statewide effort. And I think companies like that I just mentioned, some of those top 10 companies in the world, should be want to invest in Mississippi because it's a great place to raise a family. But the business environment has to be one of which is attractive to those companies right now. Right now, it seems North Mississippi is getting the bulk of the opportunity, and I want to see that in the Central Mississippi.
Well, we just have to do a better job of developing the entire state where no area is left behind and build a hub of activity because we got some talented folks here in Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
Keep them. We got to engage them. And we got to give them a reason to stay here because they see themselves building their career and exercising their potential in their home.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to leave Mississippi in order to fulfill the talents and potential that Mississippi gave you.
This is the brain drain that folks talk about, Now, many of us know you grew up in Mississippi, and folks tell you, you either go into the military or you're going to college. That's pretty much what a lot of young men here come up here listening to, and that usually happens, right? But what also happens is that they go off to these places or meet other people that find out like, oh wow, I can make X amount of dollars in this economy in another state, help my folks back at home, while also get a little bit of cultural diversity in my experience here in this great country that we know and love. I did that. I always wanted to come back to Mississippi and not be part of that brain drain. I think that that's also something that we have to be mindful of, because over the past 10 years, you've seen about 73. We have a statistics on this that we put out from time to time on social media. Over the past 10 years, it's been about 73,000 people that have left, millennials that have left the actual state, and quite frankly have not returned. So when our laws are outdated, when our way in which our work-life balance is practiced in the state that's not keeping up with the rest of the country, I think that contributes to the brain drain. But overall, we're a great state to be in, a great state to raise a family in. And I think that with the right type of leadership at the top, that makes politics, interesting again, where people feel like they can actually get something out of it. I think you'll continue to see folks come back to Mississippi. Until then, we got to deal with the brain drain.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to WMPR 90.1. This is Reviving Mississippi. We are every Wednesday from 6 to 7 o'clock, and we appreciate you for tuning in. The calling number is 601-948-5950. That's 601-948-5950. And today our guest is U.S. Congress candidate Shuwaski Young for U.S. Congress. So we appreciate y'all for tuning back in. Now, Mr. Young, I was excited from the first time that we spoke on the phone. Like I said, it had to be like a year ago. And, I enjoy seeing candidates' maturation process throughout their campaign. When they first get started, they're kind of trying to figure it out. The material that they put out is a little, the best they can at that moment. But then once the market starts beating you down a little bit, once you just start getting trial by fire by doing the process of campaign. Now here you are a year later, coming around third base. From where you started, what are some of the things that you learned in the process? Because when you first run, you think you know it. You think I'm running because I got the best, ideas. But the process of campaigning, you learn so much more. What are some of those things that you learned in your process in your campaign?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Well, I have definitely learned that I don't know what I don't know. That has been one of the things I think has been remarkable from my experience. And mind you, I'm someone who has worked in and around politics for the past 15 years. I've counseled some of the, leading political stars in our country, all over the country. I've worked in the higher echelons of government and have been used to dealing with leaders of our country for quite some time, and also in the private sector as well, too, and higher education. But nothing prepares you for actually being the candidate. I've been a campaign manager on a ballot initiative and things of that nature. I've advised these folks, but it's totally different when, it's your name now that's on the poster, and that, it's looked at as what it is an actual business. There are checks and balances that must be balanced, and everything you say and everywhere you go and everything you wear, and whether you choose to have gray in your beard or not, is ridiculed. But what I have learned, aside from those points, is that people in this country, and also particularly in this state, are generally good people. And we have a lot of differences. But overall, we really share the same values, values of family, values of Christianity and faith, and values of our love of sports and things of that nature. Those have been.
We got a caller. Turn your radio down, caller.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Hey, this is Micheal down here.
Hello, Ms. Donahue. How are you?
Okay, how you guys doing today?
All right. What's your question, Mr. Young?
Well, my statement is that, I sit here and I listen to all of these can't say all, but I would say it might be the majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about all of these promises and stuff that have been made, and we are continuously putting these people in office, and nothing is still being done. My grandkids going to college here, they can't go to school because they ain't got no water over there. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course we already know about the crisis in Jackson with the water, and like you said, that's been a problem that's been going on for years. But we do have some good things going on in Mississippi, but those small things that they need to fix, like the water situation, even with the trash thing that's still going on, all this other stuff that they got going on. You want to attract people, then you got to attract them for all people. It is evident that Mississippi is still a Republican state. It's like everything you guys do, they knock it down and that y'all try to do. So I understand that you guys only are limited to the power that you all have. But it's a shame that so many of our skin color people are in positions to do things, but nothing ever gets done. And that's my frustration. I'm so sick and tired of all these black politicians in office, and nothing never gets done. And Mississippi seems to be the bottom of the totem pole every time. We come short every time. Mm-hmm. And thank you for taking my call.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for calling in.
All right. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. You got any comments about Ms. Donahue, sir? Her frustration?
What was her name again? I'm sorry.
Miss Priscilla Donahue.
Miss Priscilla Donahue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Miss Priscilla Donahue, thank you so much for calling in, and I would say that I agree.
Is she good people?
I would say I wholeheartedly agree with her assessment.
And she just represents the frustration that the people have. But Yes.
I mean, look, people want to see things get done. There's no doubt about that. Look, right now, what we're seeing in Jackson just can't happen, much longer, and it shouldn't have been happening this longer as it has been. The water crisis is a problem. When students at Jackson State can't start their first day of school on time, or when businesses are having to constantly put out boil water alerts that's affecting business, when parents, are having complications in starting their own kids with school because of this water crisis. I think that, it's time that we have the help that we actually need in this particular state and in our particular city of Jackson. I know the mayor is working hard to resolve that particular issue, but obviously he needs some help,
Yeah, isn't the water plant in the 3rd district?
My understanding. We can look
be clear which district the actual plant sits in. I just want to make sure.
I believe that could be true. I'm planning a call. Look, I'm planning a call with the mayor, as we speak, this week, but because I want to do everything we can do to bring attention to it, and get some money in to help fix it. Look, instances like this is what the bipartisan infrastructure package was for last year when it was passed by the Democrats and also Republicans in the House of Representatives, and also signed into law by the president. Now that's $4.4 billion that's now coming to Mississippi that's affecting our waterways, our bridges, and our highways and things of this nature. But we obviously need more attention on our own. That's why we're talking about access to clean water, healthy food, affordable health care. All these things are connected. When our communities don't have access to clean water, that's not good. We have to be able to make sure that for what people are paying in their taxes, that they're getting properly represented. And right now, that's just not happening at a level. And I think that it should be. And I think that's why folks like Ms. Donahue is frustrated, and rightfully so. And I think that when it comes to our particular state, she is right. Time and time again, year after year after year, we're on the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak. Last in education, last in business opportunity, last in economic development, last in healthcare, first in being the poorest state in the country, first in child poverty rate, first in infant mortality rate, first in maternal mortality rate. Our healthcare in our state is failing, and our schools are failing. The governor likes to talk about that, Mississippi's making all these great steps up. Well, that's like saying that, hey, I just built the biggest house on the street, and it's not a very big street. You're not comparing this to, anything that nationally. And I think that's what folks are upset about. Folks want to see our state go forward in these areas. And without sound-driven policies that are going to be effective in doing so, and having leaders in office that actually show up in their districts, so they know what's going on in their districts, so they know what's going on in their cities and counties, and being right there with the people, I think that we have a better opportunity to solve the needs of the people when we do that. Right now, I can't say that's what's happening.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit, since we're about at the halfway mark. We're over that in the show. Let's talk some more local issues. We started off with the water issue in the water plant, which like I said, the congressional lines will probably show me that water plant is in the 3rd congressional district. And when it comes to appropriations, those appropriations, when you're a blue city in a red state, those appropriations need to go directly to the people who have the problem, not have to go through some kind of filtration process, trickle down kind of infrastructure work. So let's go to the next portion. What's your next part of your platform that you want to share with us today?
Look, so, it's all together, for everything that I've talked about with this campaign thus far. It has always been about small business tax breaks. It's been about access to clean water, healthy food, and affordable health care. It's making sure that, we are bringing jobs to Mississippi's 3rd congressional district. And with what we've seen over the last 4 months with Republicans' plan that they pretty much made their national party platform, making sure that we're protecting Social Security and Medicare and expanding Medicaid. Those particular 4 issues are the top drivers or key issues for this campaign as we see it right now. Those have been the issues that I've heard from people all across the district, white, Black, Choctaw, Native American, Republican, Democrat, Independents. Those are the issues.
Hold on one second. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. You got your radio turned up a little too loud. Turn it down a little bit. All right. Is that Mr. King?
Yes, sir.
Is that Mr. Smarty Pants himself?
Yes, it are. Yes, it is.
How you doing today, sir? What's your question or comment?
Excellent. I like your program. I like your guests. Is it any way that we could get some feedback? Somewhere we could, log into when Congressman Thompson mentioned earlier this year when the mayor Lumumba said that they needed $2.8 billion for the new water plant. Congressman Thompson mentioned that the federal government would pay, I think it's 75%. If the city would raise 25%, I haven't heard anything from that. Do you recall that?
Yeah, so if that number is, from what you're saying, if that number is accurate, 2.8, 25% of that will be roughly $600 million.
Well,
so that's that match. Yeah, that match portion is a challenge, and that's what the discussion is now. What is the amount of money that actually solves the problem and guarantees folks to have quality and reliable services?
Well, see, I haven't heard, are they meeting, are any steps being taken? And the other thing too, which I hope it doesn't happen, Governor sends back that money for helping people with their rent. Is there some way people can find out, or the legislators let us know if the money did go back? Because of what former Governor Bryant allegedly did. How many years is this going to go on where they could spend millions of dollars and there's no accountability? Meaning they might not punish them, but the public would know. Can anybody bring to the public different things that's happening that we could just know about, even though they might excuse it?
Well, one thing with that RAMP program, it was not just rental assistance; it was rental and utility assistance.
Right.
And what the utility companies, especially Jackson, were doing were folks who couldn't pay their water bills or had these exasperating water bills, who were accessing that money to get resources the city couldn't collect from residents. We were getting that money, putting it into the city's coffers in the water department. So when you cut off things that we're trying to maneuver and help, it makes it very challenging.
Well, let me say this. I got assistance for 3 months, and it went directly to the landlord.
That's right.
It went directly to the entity. I don't know how a person could take, if they get a check, they say that's not possible.
Yeah, I mean, anytime the government spends money, you're going to have a percentage of people who find a way to subvert the system. But I'm a firm believer that if somebody commits a crime, you punish that person. You don't punish every poor person in the state of Mississippi because you don't want to take federal money. What I say is, if you want to get folks back to work, at least leave the services open for senior citizens.
Sure.
Who are outside the workforce. At least leave some people to get some assistance, but don't cut off assistance for everybody. See, it takes a true. That's why these utilities are critical, and that's why I focus on back to basics. Clean water, clean sewer, just basic services. And so what my proposal to the governor's office was, and I spoke to the speaker and lieutenant governor about this, is that if the motivation is to get people back to work, the people who are on disability, the people who are senior citizens, who can't afford the high gas prices and their own personal economy is not going forward, they need the assistance. So you keep the assistance in place for our senior citizen and disabled population, and then you turn around and invest in higher wages to get our young folks back to work. Because today, making $7.50 an hour for 40 hours a week does not even pay you enough money to go to work.
Right, that's when they have 2 and 3 jobs. But I'm gonna be quick with this, and I appreciate your comment. I just heard on the news that the president Biden is working on, executive order to help the people with their student loans. Mm-hmm. And then I heard some comments. They said, well, what about people that paid off their loan or paying off their loan? Should they get a reimbursement? That sounds crazy, because if I could get a car at a discount that you last week didn't get a discount, you can't get it. You get it at the time. That's the way I'm thinking. Well, I've never seen in another area complaining that they can't get it. Anyway, thank you very kindly.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right, Mr. Young, you got a response to Mr. King's comments here?
Well, not entirely, but I do think that it's great that he brought up the student loan forgiveness relief program that the president has put out today. That particular program is one of which where $10,000 is going to be taking off your student loan debt. If you receive the Pell Grant, then that's $20,000 that's going to be taken off your student loan debt. I've gotten calls from folks all over the country today that has talked about how this is going to help them economically. And also, when you just look at it from a credit standpoint, it's going to help that debt to credit, income ratio for a lot of folks on their credit side. So if you're making $125,000 or below, you qualify for this particular program. Not to mention the other programs are out there for forgiveness as well, if you served in the military or worked in a nonprofit or things of that nature. So I think it's a good thing.
Okay. We have another caller. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Yeah, I got a quick comment, brother. I just want to say this right here.
Hey, brother Willis.
Hanging in there, man. I tell you, I just want to say this right here, what y'all talking on that situation with student loan and everything. Now, it's okay with the student loan forgiveness and stuff like that. If you're going to help the young folks out, what about the one that cause the young folks to be where they are, the senior citizens that put them in that spot? We going from paycheck to paycheck, and you talking about the student loan and the government is holding back on the RAMP program and stuff, and rental assistance and all of that, and the mortgage system trying to hold back on that by trying to put people to work. But you don't understand that you have disabled senior citizens and senior citizens that have been on Social Security for years and going from paycheck to paycheck and don't know where they're going to pay the water bill or to buy food, But the thing about it is, why they can't, what I'm trying to say is, they have like over 30-some states that's, giving people and helping their residents out with certain types of stimulus and helping the residents out from low income. But you don't hear nothing about Mississippi. Everybody trying to do something for their people except Mississippi. And so what I'm trying to say is, you got to get out and vote these people out of office that's not doing anything for your state and city. Because it's a shame that we sitting around here and they putting up money to go billions of dollars go there in Ukraine, but they can't help the people around here.
And I agree with you, Mr. Young. You got a response to Mr.
Look, absolutely. I think that sentiment is one of which that I have heard not only from my own mother, who's on Social Security, but also family members and people who are actually in office representing our state, as well as friends from around the country. If we can invest in quote unquote democracy around the world, but yet, our general welfare of what we actually need in our folks here in Mississippi are not viewed as being held in the first priority, then of course people are going to be upset about that, and that's what makes people also feel disaffected by the political process. When they are paying their taxes and they are making sure that they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing, then they want to make sure the government's taking care of them. That's part of the social contract. So we have to invest in our seniors. That's why I'm talking about protecting Social Security and also Medicare and Medicaid in my particular platform. That's why I'm working with the Alliance for Older Americans, which is a PAC group that supports these particular issues, making sure that the qualifications for Social Security remain stagnant, make sure the program is going to be around for generations to come.
Hold on,
and also make
we got another caller coming in. Let me catch.
Okay,
you.
sure.
Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Yeah, I just want to say, like the guy was talking about the student loans and somebody put them there. Actually, can't nobody put you to get a student loan. You know what I mean? And it's just a lot of issues you guys got to solve. Like he is right about, voting people out to get done what we need done. Because, with the water crisis, there's a lot of people need to come to the table and really get in contact with Joe Biden, because the water crisis, as far as water is concerned, that's a Joe Biden issue, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Nobody has contacted Joe Biden, but they need to.
Well, they have, and let me respond to your question. Thanks a lot, Ms. Course. All right. Mr. Young, give some parting words for your campaign and, what you want the people to do and when you want to do it.
So, right now, the biggest thing that folks can do is to get registered to vote. If you've had any changes in your address in the past 30 days or a year, make sure that you are registered to vote in your right precinct. The second thing, we want folks to do is to remember that November 8th is Election Day. And if you are over the age of 65, you can start voting as early as September the 17th. And if you feel like you're going to be away from the polls on Election Day for whatever reason, go ahead and go into your circuit clerk's office in your county and request the ballot after September 17th and start that process to go ahead and get your vote counted. We want to get as many absentee ballots in as possible before the election day even gets here. I also want folks to definitely go over to Shuwaski Young for Congress on Facebook. We must get our Facebook following up throughout the 3rd Congressional District. That's where a lot of folks are here on Facebook, and that's why I'm happy to be here with you today. So if you can go to Shuwaski Young for Congress on Facebook, follow our page, you'll see what I'm up to all the time. I'm all around the district doing back to school drives and voter engagement, and also just talking about these particular issues as a whole. So please go to Shuwaski Young for Congress on Facebook. Also, please make sure you're registered to vote. You can start voting as early as September 17th. And at the end of the day, I want your vote. I need your vote. I want to earn your vote. And I know that we want a better and brighter Mississippi for everyone. And I think that you'll be impressed with how I represent you. I'll be present.
Now, you got some upcoming events coming up as well, don't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So if you're in the Jackson area on Saturday, the 27th, I will be doing a meet and greet at the Soleil Cafe in Jackson, Mississippi. And that event is going to be at 12 to 1. It's just going to be for 1 hour. And again, that's going to be at the Soleil Cafe in Jackson, Mississippi. And that address was right here. Pardon me. But the address
on our end too, man. Hold on 1 second. We're gonna pull this flyer up in just a second. Get it out so folks can see it if you are tuned in online. But that event is, let me see here, make sure I got the right information.
1 to 2 p.m., not 12 to 1. It's 1 to 2.
There we go.
There it is.
2943 Old Canton Road, Suite E, Jackson, Mississippi, at the Soleil Cafe. That's August the 27th from 1 to 2 p.m. Meet and greet for U.S. Congressional candidate Shuwaski Young.
And I just want to point out that, we were contacted by this wonderful organization, that cares about the state, cares about women's rights, cares about families and seniors. And they have been following the campaign. Their name is Liberal Families of Mississippi. It's a group of diverse women that have gotten together that are doing some really good work in their communities. And I'm really honored to be able to work with them on this particular event so we can meet folks and talk to folks about this race. So if you come, you'll walk away with palm cards, push cards, as we call them here, that has information about our campaign. You can give those out to folks and things of that nature. And I hope that everybody can come out on Saturday and check us out.
Well, I'm excited about it. But before you go, I know you busy got other appointments to do. But before you go, there are people out there who are on the fence about running for office. What would be some advice you would give to somebody who's thinking about taking that jump into public service?
Well, number one, family. It is a major sacrifice on your family, number one. And I, for one, can speak to that very, very, very much so in a fashionable way. So making sure that this is something that you really, know you believe in, that you want to do it, you're doing it, not because of the fanfare or your name in the paper, like you actually care about wanting to do something about the state of affairs that are happening in your community, whether on a local level, state level, or national level, like this campaign, because it's going to be days in which you're going to want to quit, quite frankly. And there's going to be days in which you're going to have to remember the reason why you're actually doing this and putting yourself and also your family through this type of scrutiny. The second thing I would say is, be very selective about the group of people that you're going to have closest to you and around you that are advising you both informally or also formally. Some of those, half of those people you start out with will not be there at the end. That's just the way that it goes. But more so believe in what you're doing and believe in the reason why you're doing it. That's what gets me through. And make sure you got some strong folks around you that can definitely keep your feet on the ground, because it's easy to, listen to folks and take the wrong advice at the wrong time. So more than anything, make sure that you're grounded, I would say.
Well, brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate you putting yourself out for public service. It's not something easy to do. And from my vantage,
you'll never get enough sleep. I'll say that now. I've been tired for 4 months now.
Well, I appreciate you for offering yourself up for public service and also for encouraging others. There are some wonderful organizations throughout the district and throughout Mississippi that are doing great work and campaigning. I learned this when I campaigned statewide. I didn't know how many good pockets of people were everywhere. There's pockets of folks that really believe in progressing Mississippi forward, black and white, Democrat and Republican. There's pockets of folks out there who really want to move the state forward.
It's the most amazing thing. I'll tell you, when I came home last year, very quickly, this is no lie, I knew I was running for office, and I had got into that lifestyle change. I'm 38 now, getting a little older. I'm going to start letting the gray show. I want to make sure my health is on point. And, I had wonderful health. I have great health now. Came home, I was real thin, kind of like, Representative Roark running for Texas governor. I was really thin. And from my mother's cooking and from the constituents who are in the district that invite me into their home, that stop at their small business restaurant, my goodness, I've gained probably 15 to 20 pounds in the last year just on the campaign trail. So my last piece of advice is make sure you have a great workout routine. I do that as well. But also someone who's going to limit the amount of calorie intakes in this our wonderful Southern cuisine here in the state.
Hey, we got 2 minutes left to go on the show. We appreciate you, brother, for calling in. For those candidates out there, I'm gonna give you a little trick out my goodie bag. In my bag, I have a cooler. I make sure I got green smoothies and water in there. I make sure I have some Lysol hand sanitizer in the back seat. You got to keep yourself together, y'all out there. Kids.
Right.
You're real. And just ordinary sickness by being around so many people still real. So y'all take care of yourself out there. We've had a great show today, brother. We appreciate you for taking time to spend with us today. You're welcome to come back anytime.
I enjoyed it.
It's just nobody but Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Arkansas, and the good old family down here at 90.1. So we appreciate you. And our underwriters for today's show, Michael Jordan Transportation Service. You can go to www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs. And also going over to Stamp SuperBurger and get you a whole cow between 2 pieces of bread that's tasted to the last drop. Going over there and get you one of those burgers. Now,
I'm going.
And get you some of those lemon pepper fries, which I love all the time. And as we end every show, first and foremost, I want to thank the handyman, the baddest man behind the microphone in this generation. Everybody know who he is. I appreciate you, brother. I love you. We've been here a long time, looking at each other across the face, each other for 9 years straight. October be 9 years, so we appreciate Brother Handy and all the WMPR family. And as we end every show, we always say, never let anybody put you in a position where you don't love your own people. Because when you hate your own folks, and I'm talking about all Mississippi folks, when you hate your own folks, you're part of the very oppression we're trying to lift ourselves out of. I love you, Jackson. I love you, Mississippi. Handy, get us out of here.
You have been listening to Reviving Mississippi.